And this earned income tax credit, which gives relief to middle and low earning taxpayers, was also expanded in the stimulus package. But also, continuing unemployment benefit claims have risen to the highest level since February. It's a sign that the Federal Reserve's historic tightening cycle is beginning to buffet the economy. The Labor Department reported continuing claims rising again to 62,000 to 1.7 million just from a year ago. For the longest stretch of the end of the summer, new jobless claims defied expectations and remained low, despite the Federal Reserve's aggressive and historic rate hikes. Since the start of October, though, they have been above 210,000. The Fed has been aggressively jacking up interest rates to tame inflation, but the trade-off is that rising rates, slow demand, can result in a recession. Last month, the central bank, another huge 0.75 percentage point, increased again, or 75 basis point of a rate increase. So it was the fourth such increase in just 5 months, the largest increase in 4 decades. Jerome Powell has also made it clear that the Fed won't even be tightening up its inflation starts until next year. Powell has even stated that the full effects of a rapid tightening so far are yet to be felt. It makes sense to moderate the pace of our rate increases as we approach a level of restraint that will be sufficient to bring inflation down. So the time for moderating the pace of rate increases may come soon as the December meeting comes to a close. But we know, folks, for sure that President Biden must do more for the American people, and sending out stimulus payments is the only thing he has to do. So he must sign this bill into law.
Thank you all for being here, and I apologize for my back when I'm speaking to you. My mother gave me hell for doing that. But Ken, thank you for the introduction and for representing your brothers and sisters in organized labor, and who always get the job done. While they can't be here today, I want to thank Leader Schumer and Speaker Pelosi, Senators Brown, Patty Murray, Ron Wyden for their leadership in this issue as well. And I want to thank all the members that are here. Richie, it's good to see you, pal, and who leads the powerful House and Ways and Means Committee and saw this legislation and to the end and saw it through. And Tammy Baldwin, he's mildly prejudiced about your position and from that state you represent. Tina Smith, Representative Bobby Scott, Marcy Kaptur, a great friend, and Frank Marvan. Thank you all for being here. And a special thanks to Labor Secretary Marty Walsh, Teamster General President Sean O'Brien, AFL-CIO President Liz Schuler, for believing what I believe, that the middle class built America and unions built the middle class. We all know in recent years the middle class has been hit pretty hard. Unions have been under attack. We've had an economy that didn't feel like it worked enough for working people. A pandemic made things a lot worse, and that's when I signed the American Rescue Plan to provide economic relief for folks who needed it and needed it the most, keeping tens of thousands of cops and firefighters, teachers, first responders on the job as state revenues dried up during the pandemic in all 50 states. And through the American Rescue Plan, we laid the foundation for an economy built from the bottom up and the middle out. I'm press is tired of hearing me say this, but when the poor have a ladder up and the middle class are able to prosper, the wealthy do very well. Everybody benefits. Trickling down doesn't usually get down to the bottom. One of the big ways we did that was by including the Butch-Lewis Act. That shored up the pension plans for millions of union workers and represents the most significant investment in pension security.
And people laughed it off. Oh, well, is that a serious issue? Is there really a connection there? And it's only been a few short years where people are, because of the extreme nature of it and the rapidity of the time that has passed in terms of the escalation of the issue, that people are finally understanding what you all have been working on for years.
There are some proposed changes to the next fourth stimulus package that economists are going to
instances lead to penalties if you don't withhold enough money.
We have about a survey out there that shows 50% have spent all their emergency savings. People are carrying more debt on their credit cards, and there has been a huge jump in the number of people reporting they have signed up for SNAP food stamps or visited a food pantry in the past.
Folks, there's a ton of news about the fourth stimulus check, Social Security benefits, and SSI and SSDI. So far, everybody, President Biden is saying that an urgent warning has been released to the federal government. The IRS has new information on how
our allies, such as in Western Europe. We need to be doing much more of that so we don't have our friends, the Germans and and Poland and others that are reliant upon energy coming from Russia. So with the regulatory and tax policies that have discouraged gas in production, California only produces, for example, a fraction of what it's capable of when it was once the...
Now, the IRS estimates that nearly $1.5 billion in refunds remains unclaimed because people have yet to file their tax returns. The median refund is $893 for the year, according to the agency. Taxpayers have until July 17th to file their 2019 tax return. This reflects the 3-year limitation date as the crisis pushed back the 2019 filing date by 3 months. Under the law, lawmakers and taxpayers generally have years to file and claim their tax refunds. That's if you don't even file a return within 3 years. The money becomes the property of the U.S. Treasury Department. And now, if you reside in the state of New Mexico, keep an eye out on your bank account. The New Mexico governor says that the latest round of rebates will go out mid-June. Thanks to a bill passed by lawmakers during the legislative session, New Mexico people have previously filed taxes and will get another round of rebates. Single tax filers will get $500. Married couples will get more. And taxpayers who use direct deposit when filing their tax returns will get the latest round of rebate checks automatically via direct deposit. If you moved here since 2021, you should update your address online via the Taxation and Revenue Department's Taxpayer Access Point. Now, for everybody in the United States of America, well, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that the consumer prices climbed 5% in March, down from 6%. The latest inflation reading represents the 9th straight month of easing price growth on an annual basis, and it's down from 9% high last June. But it's still well above the Federal Reserve's 2% target, among the key categories still seeing outsized pace growth, and now it's climbing 8.5% from March 2022 to March 2023, which hit 8.3% growth. As a result, cooling inflation won't really have proved much about solace to consumers in its demand that the Fed is aiming to address by the raising interest rates. Food and rent are among the categories that continue to have the largest price increase. Food prices already climbed 10%. In the same month, rents had the largest one-month increase on record, climbing 8.2%, and rent data is even considering a lagging indicator, meaning surveys are slower to capture real-time changes because most leases are at a 12-month long. We have a ton of good news about the fourth stimulus check, Social Security benefits, SSI and SSDI. I'm ready to see what President Biden could do for you folks, and let's see what he could do for the American people. Hopefully he can do what he promised us and send out the fourth stimulus check. Now, first of all, the weather is heating up and so are gas prices. AAA has reported that the national average for a gallon of gas rose 8 cents last week, and now it's up to $3.66 a gallon. Now, oil prices initially got a boost early in April, which now surprisingly announced that it would cut production starting in May by about $1 million per day. This is news from the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. This past Thursday, oil rose further after the International Energy Agency predicted global oil demand will climb by 2 million barrels a day.
What are we doing? What is the world community doing to make sure that every person on earth, no matter how poor, all right, let me go to a subject which I think as a nation we don't discuss enough, and that is long and the problem and perhaps deal with it.